what we see in that DNA is betrayal, serial betrayal, and ungratefulness. The DNA of Obasake is what? Betrayal, serial betrayal, and ungratefulness.
Inaugurating the project, former Minister of Information, Professor Jerry Ghana, described Governor Wike as a courageous leader who is focused and dedicated to service. He expressed the optimism that the PDP will take over power in 2023 to restructure the federation and transform their economy.
You've been our partner, you've been someone who has really shown the kind of integrity, the kind of capacity, the kind of courage, the kind of wisdom, the kind of dedication that we would love to see. Well, therefore, we are very, very proud of you.
Poor nutrition costs Nigeria over $1.5 billion in GDP every year, threatening the health of citizens and the economic potential of the nation. Fortifying stable foods with key vitamins and minerals is one of the most scalable, sustainable, and cost-effective tools to combat malnutrition in Nigeria and worldwide. This was the main thrust at the 4th Annual Nigerian Food Processor and Nutrition Leadership Forum to announce progress in fortifying stable foods with essential vitamins and minerals. Justina Kadone reported.
At the 4th Annual Nigerian Food Processing and Leadership Forum, data showing significant progress in the fortification of staple foods in Nigeria was presented. During the last 4 years, the forum has experienced increased engagement by the federal government and CEOs of Nigeria's largest food processing companies, resulting in years of steady progress. The data presented at the forum, which was chaired by Aliko Dangote, demonstrated sustained fortification compliance for some key micronutrients and a decline for others, largely due to supply chain issues caused by the pandemic of COVID-19. Also, the issue of the Russia-Ukraine crisis came to the fore with a specific mention of wheat production.
It's not a false claim, and I'm sure that NAFDAC has also been working on this because we've got several visits from NAFDAC on this issue. So it's not a wasted question, and we are on top of it. We are also working on not just the saturated fats, we're also working on use of multi-purpose tankers and trailers in conveying vegetable oil, and we are working with NAFDAC on that.
As of today, prices of wheat have gone up. Now, there's a lag in the system that comes because of inventory controls and inventory management, but it is something that we need to be sitting down with government today to discuss about what measures can we put in place to alleviate what is coming down the road.
Russia and Ukraine, they do almost about 13% of the world's urea and then 26% of the world's potash. And then phosphate also, they are one of the largest in the world. So, and that though has actually, gone up. There will be scarcity of food generally, because people will not be able to access fertilizers going forward. And we will not see the effect now, but in the next 2-3 months, this thing is going to show.
Fortifying staple foods has been proven to be one of the most cost-effective and scalable tools to combat malnutrition and save lives.
It's time for a short break now. We will be right back with more.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Thanks for staying with us. Now on Maritime, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, has flagged off the 2022 operation of Band Game Express. It's aimed at improving security among the naval forces of the Gulf of Guinea and allied countries.
Exercise Obangame Express is part of efforts to protect the maritime sector of the economy for sustainable use of the resources and effective security of maritime trade. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, said the exercise is designed to improve operational readiness. It will also promote maritime domain awareness, information sharing practices, and tactical interdiction expertise of the Navy.
The exercise is designed to improve regional collaboration through joint operations, intelligence sharing, and harmonized legal frameworks to enhance the collective capabilities of Gulf of Guinea nations against maritime crimes.
The Naval Chief said it is instructive considering efforts of the federal government at operationalizing the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the African Continental Free Trade Area has the potential to boost intra-African trade by 33% and cut the continent's trade deficit by 21%. It is thus envisaged that Nigeria and indeed the Nigerian Navy would provide a lead role in this regard.
Vice Admiral Gambo commended the United States government through the U.S. Africa Command and other international partners for facilitating and sustaining the exercise. He expressed hope that this year's exercise will achieve the target of ensuring security at several waterways among the Gulf of Guinea nations. The flag officer commanding Central Naval Command is Rear Admiral Idi Abbas. He assured that the exercise will keep businesses alive and provide the impetus for enhanced overall maritime safety.
Exercise Obangame Express 2022 presents that ample opportunity for the Nigerian Navy to work together with other regional and friendly foreign navies in the spirit of the Yaoundé Agreement.
The exercise will aim to create a safe and secure maritime environment for shipping and other economic activities through the prevention of piracy, sea robbery, crude oil theft, illegal bunkering, and other forms of criminalities within our maritime domain. Pertinently,
in all, 24 friendly forces will participate with representatives of the agencies like the U.S. Africa Command.
And this next report captured a celebration moment where the family of Major General Henry Edmond Olufemi Adefope organized a memorial event and a presentation of his biography to commemorate his life and times. The event was held in Lagos. Ngozeka Ohai-Chesi reported.
It's over a decade since General Henry Edmond Olufemi Adefope passed. Major General Adefope served in the Nigerian Army and as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, a member of the International Olympic Committee from 1985 to 2006, and an honorary member of the International Olympic Committee since 2007.
And we still believe that we can
This event was to celebrate all he was and stood for during his lifetime. Family, friends, colleagues, business associates, and statesmen were all in attendance. Oludotun Adebola Adefope Okoji, first daughter of the late general, shared a brief biography of her father.
He loved nature and was conscripted by the Lagos Horticultural Society as their president, which position he held for many years until he pleaded to be released. As president, he was able to secure large hectares of land for the society on Lagos-Badagry Expressway through Governor Raji Rasaki. He, together with his wife, loved family, both nuclear and extended.
A panel was set up to have a fireside conversation about Major General Adefope's selfless service and dedication.
The legacy that he left behind in the labor movement was that before he became a minister, the first generation of unionists have been trying to have one labor center. In fact, they had the first Nigeria Labor Congress in 1950. The four major unions, ULC, WFU, they've been struggling to form the second one. But General Adefokwe put his feet on the ground and brought these four centers together, which produced the Nigeria Labor Congress that we have today.
In his acceptance speech in 1967 as the chairman of the National Sports Commission, he vowed to do one thing: to develop sport and ensure that every young man and woman that needed to participate in sports and rise from the grassroots level to any level they can get, he was going to do that.
The unveiling of the book in his honor was the highlight of the event.
It's such a privilege and an honor, and I'd be grateful if we would all do it together. Okay. So we unveil the book in honor of this legacy of honor, integrity, and selflessness.
I want you to support the Adefokwe Foundation by buying several copies and donating to libraries.
The Henry and Dorothy Adefokwe Foundation is continuing to support and promote sports and youth development to keep his memories alive. Ngozika Ohaichesi, Plus TV News.
What do you think about the bill to subject students, political appointees to mandatory drug test? Well, the Adamawa State House of Assembly is working on a bill that would mandate all job seekers, applicants for political appointment, and students seeking admission into any tertiary institutions of learning to undergo a mandatory drug test. It seeks to control the adverse effect of drugs and other illicit substance abuse on society, and also for legislative backing to strengthen the fight against drug abuse.
Adamawa is one of the states in the northeast that is confronted with drug abuse cases by its teeming youths, and the State House of Assembly is working round the clock to checkmate such cases. Speaking at the opening of the public hearing on the draft legislation, the Deputy Speaker of the State Assembly, Makondo Pamwankeno, said the bill passed into law will make it mandatory for drug tests to be conducted for all job seekers, applicants for political appointment, and students seeking admission into any tertiary institutions of learning in Adamawa State.
The problem is not only limited to our schools. What is happening in our government institution is better imagined than real. Drugs and illicit substance abuse has become a fashion amongst public and civil servants. The bill is therefore a deliberate effort by the sponsor and the honorable members to curtail the trend by nipping the problem in bud through legislation.
Others gathering are persons and agents of the state in the front lines of the anti-drug campaign to consider the piece of legislature, who are of the view that if the bill is passed into law, it would be a game changer in the anti-drug campaign.
We believe maybe by enacting this law, we'll reduce some crime in our society. Robbery, kidnapping, roaming about, school dropout and all that, it will reduce to our own understanding.
The control of drugs is paramount. It's very important because there is a saying that youth are the leaders tomorrow. But with this development of drug abuse, the chances of them to be leaders tomorrow is blinking.
So what are your reasons for not using the pedestrian bridge, but instead cross the roads? Well, in this report, acrophobia, that is, the fear of heights, has been pointed out as one of the many reasons most people would rather cross the roads than make use of the pedestrian bridges. PlusTvAfrica was at the Strait of Lagos and found this report.
As lifesavers,
Pedestrian bridges are considered critical infrastructures in modern road construction, especially in densely populated cities like Lagos. But not even the introduction of kick against indiscipline (KAI) by the state government has succeeded in enforcing the use of the pedestrian bridges. PlusTvAfrica was at Ojota to speak to Nigerians who gave different reasons ranging from health issues to acrophobia, that is the fear of heights, and laziness amongst other reasons why most people would rather take the risk of crossing the roads than using pedestrian bridges.
The reason why people don't want to use the PlusTvAfrica, some people they are not fit. Maybe some people that are treated under the high blood pressure. Because immediately they climb the bridge, if they cannot even reach up, they will start continuous breathing.
I don't really blame them, but when you see them trying to climb the bridge, like they find it very, very, very difficult.
Some people think maybe climbing that thing will waste their time. So that is why they prefer crossing on the road instead of climbing on the bridge.
Old people mainly, they don't cross over. That's how they constructed their road over there, so that it will help all the older or elders to cross. That's one of the important things the government will think over, because some of us may crossing and collapse.
A health expert, Tuyi Mebawondo, confirmed that acrophobia is a key factor that is often neglected but must be addressed, adding that most pedestrian bridges are constructively unfriendly, especially for those with health issues.
There could be health issue associated with climbing, and there could be health issue associated with phobia itself. If you make the bridge as small as anything and the person with phobia will still run away. When you look at some pedestrian bridge across Nigeria, you wonder whether you are climbing Mount Everest or you are climbing Kilimanjaro. It's so unfriendly, so challenging. All the edges are cut. If you're not careful, the rails are actually broken. If you're not careful, even you that is not having phobia, you may fall and injure yourself. So first and foremost, the design must be friendly.
They advised the government to do more in enlightening the people on the need to use the footbridges apart from enforcing the law.
Well, whatever reason, please let's do the right thing. I mean, some also believe using the footbridge is a source of exercise, which is also good for our health. And that's all on this edition of Plus Report. But before we go, let's still remind you to please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica. I'm Jacinta Obiuku. Thanks for watching.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Right, my name is Terrietta Precious. I am an event planner, a cake specialist. I'm also a natural juice specialist as well. I deal with fruits and I try to make people live healthy lives. And business is just pretty starting up, like coming back, resuscitating after a very long break of like 5 years. And that happened because I got trafficked, and the connection came through my friend. So how it all started, so after school, I started baking even before I left secondary school. And so when admission was taking so long, and I was really eager to go back to school and all, so I started doing events, started serving at parties, following vendors to events, and I started liking the job because I'm kind of like talented in the arts. So everything event looked like fun and work for me. So I decided to build a career in that, irrespective of going back to school. And then I started training up. I naturally just have recipes in my head for cakes, and maybe when I wake up, I'll go right out to what I saw either in my dream or what I thought about, and when I try it out, it always comes out nice. So my mom encouraged me to build up that career too, and that it was going to be a fruitful one. So at that point, there's this friend of mine that we kind of like, she's a bit older than I am, but we kind of like grew up together. She was always there for me because I had a child immediately after school. She was always there for me, always helping me out. So she said, since school wasn't working, then we should just venture into business. And looking at it that I was the first of 5 kids and I already had a child, school might be a little bit tight at that moment because my parents were really well to do, my mom actually, and because my parents are separated. So we used to make ice blocks and ice cubes together. We make ice blocks, we make ice. She was the one working there. So, but after her normal daily job, we now go in the evenings. So we had to take permission from her boss first. So we go in the evenings, we make ice blocks and ice cubes. We take to bars, restaurants, clubs, and most weekends when we get jobs as well, we get to supply ice blocks for events. So it started making me meet people. I started coming out more often, and people started liking my kind of person, like you're very intelligent. So sometimes my friend would just say, come, let's go to so place. She might not say anything, but we are certain that we're not living there without a new job to do almost every weekend. So it made me start becoming very outgoing, and I did meet lots of people. So I knew that I was only going to do that for a short while. And then on one of the occasions, we had a very long discussion, and she was like, she's just going to be here for the meantime. She was really building that up for me to like find a basis for me to start my event management career. And I took it that she was doing me a really good favor. So not too long from then, she introduced me to a friend who brought a job, and they wanted me to plan a particular event. It was going to be an opening, which I did, and it was fine. It came out well. It was quite big, so for me it was like a major big job for me, and I was happy at the pace at which I was, pulling up the shirts, and they were really looking perfect. So one of the guys who attended the event, a friend to the convener of the event, to the owner of the event, was like, whoa, I like your industrious, I like your person, you're smart, you're outspoken, and you know how to do almost everything and do it well. Like, how do you do it? And I was like, well, it's just me, that's just the way I am. And he got really interested, and we exchanged contacts, started talking, and sometimes he just calls me, hey babe, what's up? What's your plan for the weekend? Any event? And I'll be like, yes. And he's like, okay, drop location. He'll just come around, just come and check up, like to see what's up, and always commenting, always checking up on me. So for me, I felt it was like a good thing to just have someone who you've not known from Adam, you know, become close, check up on you, and they're after your progress. And after like about 6 to 8 months of that constant checkup, he then just dropped the suggestion one day, like, he doesn't know how I'm going to see this, but there's a traveling opportunity, and he feels this should be the in thing for me, since I already have plans to further education. Already I had started NCE, I was in my 200 level. I started NCE, but it was a bit tight. So most times when it's like that, he's always like one of the people I call, like, what's up, I'm having challenges with fees, or my friend and a couple of other friends will be like, every time you have to call me either for fees or for feeding or one thing or the other. I feel this is an opportunity for you. If you can take it up, you should go to Malaysia. You're going to be working in the hair factory, because at that point, apart from making cakes and planning events, I just got talented with playing around weave-ons. And then I just started making wigs, even without even knowing that wig was going to become something that's going to be in vogue. So when they saw it and they're like, this is really beautiful, like, how did you come about this? I don't know, I just see things and I do them. So he said that this is really good. So if you're going to a company where you're going to be working with attachment, weave-ons, and then you could get another job where you can work in a restaurant, maybe as a pastry chef or as an assistant baker, where you can shuffle in between both duties, make cool cash, and say in about 6 months you must have saved up enough. And then I was like, I don't have money. I know traveling out now, most especially going to Malaysia now, should cost so much. And it was like, no, that even if I don't have cash, I shouldn't worry about it. I'm like, how are you going to do that? And he was like, I should just leave all of that for him, that all he needs from me is my consent that I'll be willing to go. I said, but not without you telling me how you're going to go about it. And then he did explain that there are agents who are into traveling, and they help people travel either to go to school or to work. But then if you do not have money, there are people who are like investors, and what they do is to invest their money on you to travel. And then when you get to your post country, you start working, maybe like your first 3, 4, 5 months working, your salary will be used to pay them back whatever they have spent on you, but though it will be maybe either multiplied or there'll be an addition. And then he was like, I think if you are that hardworking, this shouldn't be a problem for you. So I sat down and thought about it, like, okay, so how much are we looking at here? And then he did a plus or minus $3,500 then, and then if I was going to pay back, I was going to be paying back like $700, $7,000. And I was like, okay, how much are we talking about in Naira? He did the conversion, and then he made me understand that I shouldn't even look at that money, that I'm going to be getting dinars, and that dinars is way higher than Naira. So, and he was like, don't worry, this is like the best opportunity for you. I know you're strong, I know you're hardworking, and you're very fun to be with. People love to be around you, so definitely you're going to make good friends who would even give you stipends, and you probably might not just have to pay back with all your hard-earned money. So the idea was to go work and come back to set up better or to finish up school so I can get a job. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And then he said he was going to, if I was ready, then he will now tell me the remaining processes. But then I have to look for like 4 extra people to make us 5. I was like, okay. And so these, my other friends, they also know this, my particular friend, Mary, that introduced me to the agent. So somehow, you know, there's no how now, friends, girls would definitely meet. And I really don't remember how my other friends got to know, but they also got to know about the traveling because he also became friends with them. But because anybody can meet anybody anywhere, I didn't really try to know exactly how they also met this same person. But then the other thing I remember was that we were all talking about this whole traveling thing, and my other friends were like, they were ready, 2 sisters and 2 of their friends, so with 5 of us. And then we started talking about it, so they were like, we're going to get at least 50K first. The 50K was supposed to be for like our passport and some other little things that we would need right here before moving, but the traveling expenses was going to be covered by the investor, the invisible investor. So I for like a month we were on it, trying to get cash, running around, and several times they did say we're going to meet one person tomorrow. They could just call up today and say, okay, we're meeting the main travel agent tomorrow, we're meeting this tomorrow, and then we go. So they asked us to bring passports, pictures, so we should come for medical tests and all that. So on the day we went to Ikorodu to meet this other set of guys. That was the day we met a magician. So he is also part of the crew. And the magician happens to be the transporter. So he did mention that when it comes to things like this, that he normally advises young ladies not to tell anyone, and that the reason why he would tell them not to tell anyone is because they will definitely discourage you the moment you tell them someone is paying for your traveling. That families don't believe that somebody anywhere can just decide to pay for you to travel, go work and come back. So at some point he actually did some magic. So he said he was going to show us what he does for a living in Malaysia, and that he had just come back, but he has decided to rest. He wants to stay back in Nigeria to take care of his family, and that this is what he does for a living in Malaysia and some other countries where he goes to. And then he brought out stuff, sand, salt, handkerchief. Then he did turn the sand into, he did turn salt into sand, and then turned the salt again into a bird. So seeing that, we, it just blew us out kind of. And he also said that if we wanted to really go and we were certain that we were not going to tell anyone, we needed to like swear an oath and all of that. So they were going to make some concussion with new notes. So all of this is just to be secure that we're not going to be telling anybody. And at that point I was really not very down with everything, but one thing just kept sticking in my mind, which is, as far as I'm going to make myself better, as far as I'm not going to be leaning or calling or having to trouble family and all of that. And it was an opportunity for me to at least like do something tangible for myself. So I didn't really see anything, though I had doubts. I had very big doubts. So after that, they said they were going to let us know when we'll be leaving and how we will be leaving. We don't need to take anything, maybe just a bag or just maybe like a pair or 2 pairs of clothes, that when we get somewhere, we'll be going for shopping, we'll get clothes, and we'll get every necessary thing that we needed. So initially, when he started mentioning that you don't have to tell anyone, so for me, I found it very difficult that, okay, I'll be leaving my child for my mom and I won't be able to describe to my mom where exactly I'm going to or what I'm going there to do. And why would someone say, it's supposed to be a good news. So why would someone else say, don't tell your family, because they probably will not like the sound of it or they will discourage you. For me, I feel that should be a good news and you should share. So, but he made us to believe that when you do that, they will discourage you and you might end up missing an opportunity of a lifetime. And another thing that got me thinking was the fact that he did mention that a lot of girls do go and they come back, they get to do big things for themselves. He also mentioned that apart from working in salons, restaurants, that some people go there to hustle. So when I heard the word hustle, I actually did ask, like, what's the meaning of hustle? And it was like, regular hustle though. I'm like, no, the way that word sounds to me, the way you're saying it, looks like there's a different meaning to hustle. And then he now expatiated and said, some girls do go there just to go and work in brothels and come back. I'm like, okay. So hearing that started making me think, like, okay, this means that there is something he's not saying. So then I now asked clearly, what exactly are you taking me to this country to go and do? He now asked, what did you tell your friend you want to do? I said, no, I didn't tell him. He suggested that since I am good in these areas, so I can work in a restaurant and then also work in a hair factory. And he was like, so that is what you are going to do? So I said, okay, and waited for the day they were going to call. So on the day he called, that's the initial guy that told me about the traveling opportunity. He called and said, okay, so get ready by next week. We are moving by next week Sunday. It was supposed to be a Sunday. I said, okay, no problem. And then on getting to Ikorodu, I found out that my other friends weren't there. So I asked, what's up, what happened with the other friends? And it was like, they couldn't come up with even money for their passports, which was 50K. I was like, oh, because I saw one of them that morning, and I was like asking her, babe, how far? She was like, that she's not sure that she's going. That's the one that has a sister. And that, again, that their mom told them that it's not a good journey, that they shouldn't go. And that if she would advise me that I shouldn't go, for their mom to say it's not a good journey, I was like, why at the dying minute? So to me at that point, I just thought that, okay, maybe this is why these guys were always saying don't tell anybody. So I just went because I'd already packed my bag. So I went to Ikorodu, and then on getting to Ikorodu, we passed the night in Ikorodu. They said we were waiting for 2 other people to join us, and the next day he took us to Agbara. On getting to Agbara, it's a lady's house, and I met the owner of the house and about 3 other ladies. So he said, so this is the person that is your real travel agent. She's the one that is paying for you. She's the one that is helping you to travel to the person who sent money to her. And I said, okay. So what I told my mom when I was going to leave, I told her that I was traveling and that it was going to take me maybe like 6 or 8 months to come back. And she was like, what kind of a travel is that, and why are you staying so long? So I told her that it's a friend that is helping me out, and I really do not have to do so much just to pay for my passport. So she was even the one that even gave me like 35K out of the 50K that I gave those guys. And when I explained to her that it's a friend, and she already knows the guy, so the guy as in became very close. During one of our school parties, my mom's school party, he actually came around. He comes, like everybody now knew him. So when I mentioned his name and my mom, okay, she didn't see a reason to question, because this is someone that everybody has come to know very well. So she was like, okay. So that day I told her was the day she gave me the money, and she was like, okay, if you say that is what you want to do. But then she now asked what I was going to do about my school. So I said, already I had missed the exam for that semester, and I already had missing exams from the previous semester. So when I come back, I'll sort it out. So she was like, okay, if that is what you want. But then she wasn't really like okay with it. She kept asking questions upon questions and questions upon questions. I'm like, at least you know the person that is actually working on this for me. So if there is anything, you can always ask him. So that was the last conversation I had with my mom. And at that time, there was a very big issue in the house. Oh, I was not in good terms with my stepdad and my mom. We had issues. So for me, it was just, I had had it to the truth, and I wanted to just leave the house. So, and that was it. And I left. So my mom asked, so how are we going to be feeding this child? How are we going to be doing this? How are we going to be that? I told her not to worry, that at each point, I would always know what to do. So she didn't really bother me so much about the child because she was still little, she was just 5. At least she would be able to still feed her and do some other things. So that was how I left my daughter with my mom and left. So on getting to that house, seeing 3 other ladies and then the lady in question that owns the house, she was like, okay, so first she gave me rules that I was not comfortable with, and no talking to anybody, you're on your own here, it's just you and your destiny, like it's just you and your destiny here, no friendship, the only business you're here for is for you to be taken to the country where you're going to. She too, she just came back, she's going to be joining us like in a month's time and all. So she said we're moving in 3 days. So in 3 days nothing was happening, and then I was forced to ask questions like, I've been here for 3 days, nobody's going anywhere, what's happening? So she was like, we're waiting for 2 more people. I'm like, that was the same thing these guys said the last time, they're waiting for 2 more people, you're also saying the same thing. So she almost snapped out like I'm questioning her too much, I'm pestering and this and that, and that I should just take her word when she says we're waiting for 2 more people, or if I was the one that was going to pay the money. So I kept quiet. So that day was a day to my birthday that year, March 2nd. So I felt, okay, since I'm still around, let me just go home. So I went home, saw my mom, saw everyone, just got stuff. So my birthday, that was on my birthday, I went home, and felt like my mom was like, what happened, you've not gone? And like, we're waiting for 2 more people. And then my mom now aired out like, are you sure this thing is really genuine, and are you sure that you're not doing the wrong thing? She kept asking questions. So she asked me to call the guy that night so that she can confirm from him. So but I called that night, his number wasn't going through. I told her that I didn't want to stay too long so that I can get back home, get back there on time, and that was how I left. So 2 days after, we were ready, and the lady asked her brother to take us to the park. So already, while the magician guy was talking to us a few days earlier, he had mentioned that we were going to go by road to an extent, and that the reason we're going by road to an extent is to avoid wahala from immigration and all of that. And to me, I was just wondering, but why are you trying to avoid these people if this is genuine? But I couldn't really ask too much questions. So he said we're going to go by road to a particular extent. So when the guy said we're going to the park, it took us to a park at Yanopaja, and then we entered Kano. So I now asked, why are we going to Kano? Then he said, that's the first place we are going to. That's where I will meet the people that will now take us to where we're going to. So at this point, we're 4 ladies and the guy. So he stayed with us at the park till the bus was full, and we moved. So right there at the park, there were 2 ladies in the same bus behind us, and I noticed they were murmuring to each other. I tried eavesdropping. At that point, my Yoruba wasn't really fluent, but I can understand little by little. So I tried eavesdropping to maybe just hear something, because I became very worried. Like, am I sure I really want to continue? I can't just go back home from here and just run away. So I started looking at a means at which I can maybe even just abscond from this guy's hand. But you know, he was seated right opposite us. So even if I come down from the bus now, he's definitely going to see me. So at a point, I acted like I wanted to go buy something. Getting to Kano, I was on my phone at that point, and the lady did mention to me that when I get to Kano, she gave me a particular number. When I get to Kano, or if we are being stopped on the way, or maybe we're being arrested or hijacked on the way by any of the security officials, that we should call the particular number. So at the point where I think it was NDLEA that stopped us, and they were like, where are we going to? And to me, I just said, they said when they asked us, we should tell them we're going to Kano. And if they ask us who are we going to meet in Kano, we should mention a particular name, which was what we did. And they did let us go. So getting there, I called the number, the man did come and asked us to stay somewhere and picked us, took us somewhere else. And I was like, okay, so what next? And then he said, he now mentioned the lady's name. She wasn't that sent us to him, right? I said yes. So he told us, enter the car. And he drove off. So we drove for like 3 hours. Getting to where we were, to me it was like, why are we here? This place is looking deserted and all. So I started looking out. I remember looking out and I saw Sabongeri while we were driving. I saw Sabongeri. And I remember that at some point I heard about Sabongeri before, and I remember it being like an outskirt of Kano or so, thereabouts. So I was like, okay, but why are we going this far? I couldn't really ask the man questions because he wasn't even going to answer. And from there, they hipped us. The place he took us to, we met some other women and men there. And they wouldn't even allow you to say anything. They were just pushing everybody in. People must not see us and all that. So they like a hut, like it was a small hut, and there were people around. So they were trying to hide us. So at that point, I started becoming very scared because why are you hiding us? Why are we having to rush into somewhere? You don't want people to know we are here. If they know we are here, they're going to come and take us away or something.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild.
This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Seize it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Financial inclusion has been a great challenge across the world, especially in Africa, with great opportunities for financial services on the micro level. The value of point-of-sales transactions made in Nigeria jumped to 3.01 trillion naira in the first half of 2021, with a total volume of 462.11 million transactions in the same period. Now, these represent a 50% increase compared to the 2 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2020 and a 10.3% increase against 2.72 trillion naira recorded in the second half of 2020. However, stakeholders want the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria, AMBAN, to stem the rising trend of alleged POS customer data mining, which has led to people's money being stolen from their bank accounts. We will focus on these issues surrounding mobile money operations in Nigeria, the opportunities and the future of it. Welcome to Business Insights on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye.
President Muhammadu Buhari says Dangote Group is the second largest employer of labor in Nigeria after the federal government. He said these in Lagos when he commissioned the 3 million metric tons capacity Dangote fertilizer plant built at the cost of $2.5 billion. Buhari noted that the fertilizer company was already exporting its product to other countries, including the United States, Mexico, India, and Brazil. The House of Representatives has dismissed a report of its Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, which investigated the importation of adulterated premium motor spirit petrol into Nigeria, leading to disruption of the supply chain in the country. In the report, the committee failed to hold anybody responsible for the development or recommend sanctions. The committee recommended that the Honorable Minister of State Petroleum Resources should initiate the adoption of 2017 PMS standard as approved by the Standards Organization of Nigeria for future importation of the products into the country. Capital importation into Nigeria fell in 2021 to $6.7 billion, representing a year-on-year decline of 31% from $9.68 billion in 2020. National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) disclosed this on Wednesday in its capital importation report for the fourth quarter of 2021. The report shows that the three components of the capital importation recorded a decline in 2021. The Director General of the Debt Management Office, Patient Onyeka, has said borrowing by countries to finance budget deficit and critical infrastructure is not necessarily a bad idea. According to her, government borrowings were done by all countries across the world, mostly to finance critical infrastructure, the multiplier effects of which could not be overemphasized.
Welcome back. Those were the stories that rounded up on Business Nigeria. Now, the increase in the value of POS transactions in Nigeria shows the spending patterns of Nigerians and payment preferences as compared to cash payments. However, we will talk about some of the issues that came up when AMBAN paid a visit to the House Committee on Banking and Currency, as well as complaints of theft, counterfeited currency, and training for agents. I'm now being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of AMBAN, Oluwasegun Elegbede. Many thanks for joining us on Business Insight and Plus TV Africa, Oluwasegun.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, it is our pleasure. Let's just dive straight into it now. There have been talks as regards fake alert, and the House asked the central bank to introduce stringent regulations for POS business. As an association, AMBAN, so what's your position on this recently? I know you had a briefing concerning that.
Yes, one of the reasons why we had that press conference was actually to put things into the right perspective. Some of those items that were mentioned in the motion actually not as it is. I would say in the motion it was alleged that POS operators, POS agents do fake alerts. For one, I can tell you that actually POS agents are victims of these fake alerts.
Explain, please.
Because it is the bad element in the public that come around pretending that they need cash. And they will tell you they don't have their ATM cards with them. They have perfected this cloning of fake alerts. And then most of the time they visit outlets where the owners of these outlets are not there, where they have, we use some staff. Most of them are school SATs holders. So when they visit, the staff will have to call the boss to know if the boss has gotten value for the transfer the customer claims to have made. And then, they do it in such a way that the owner will say to the staff that you can release cash. And then
but why would the owner say they can release cash when they actually haven't gotten alerts?
Because what they have done is to clone the alert of the banks. And they are suspecting owner of or even the agents. Sometimes they may meet the person himself at his outlet. What happens is that, in the rush to serve this customer, they exchange cash, and after they must have left, they discover that this customer has just come to dupe me. They have gone away. So we are actually victims of this crime, as being said at the floor of the House of Assembly by Honorable Olajide Jimoh. We acknowledge the fact that, yes, some of these things happened, but our members are actually victims. Number two that he said is that there are counterfeit notes. Yes, we have received a lot of incident cases from our members across the country where people, they'll come with large sum of money, they want to do quick transfers to get some goods and all of that, and they will wrap, fake notes, just few original ones on the top, and they just guard it somehow, and they use this they put pressure on the owner of the outlet to release cash. And these are things that as AMBAN we try to train our members for. How to attend to customer, how not to be under pressure, so that you can be in charge, in control. When the customer walks into your outlet, you are not under his control. You need to be very calm in attending to them, so that you can actually get to see if you are collecting a counterfeit notes.
Let's talk about the counterfeited bills, for one more minute. And, you talked about how your association, that is AMBAN, train members on how they need to, be calm so they don't fall victims. So over time, do you also train your members on how to identify these counterfeited bills when they're being presented to them?
Of course, that is one of the, we made in our meetings, we try to let them know the true features of the Naira notes, the different denomination, for them to be able to identify. And then we also have been able to get in some supplies of machines, the small ones at very reduced rates that they can even have at the outlets.
Okay.
And then to also use to, validate if the notes they are collecting are counterfeited or not. So this is part of what the association is doing.
Okay, well, let's still talk about the sanity in this particular industry or association, as it were. Because if you look at it now, practically every street, every nook and cranny you go around Nigeria, you see POS operators or agents rather, mounting, their services operating, sometimes at very, secluded places. Sometimes are just umbrellas and chairs. Some do with the regular kiosk. But what is the standard really, and how do you ensure that there is sanity in the system? Because I also hear that you are starting some sort of a task force.
Let me say this: we are in agreement with the House to have some sort of sanity in our industry, in our business space. We are in agreement with them. If there's any stakeholder in this business space that has been clamoring for this enforcement of guidelines, it is AMBAN. And so we are in agreement of that. And let me say this, in the motion, it was also posited that there are no guidelines. Our business is not an happenstance. It was a deliberate effort of the government to cushion the effect of poverty and so to also deepen financial inclusion to the last mile. That was why this sector of the business was created. So having said that, there's a guideline. And so we also are of the opinion that the guideline must be strictly enforced. We understand when this started like 10, 11 years ago, before you can become a mobile money or bank agent, you must have a brick and mortar or kiosk. I mean, an address that is traceable, that if anybody has any issue, they can easily. In fact, at that time, you also would need a letter from the community head or your market leader to also identify you that we know him, because you'll be dealing with the public fund. So what we have today, that we have agents under the umbrella, under the trees, are pure violation of the guidelines. And these are the things that we frown at our level, that if these are not nipped in the bud, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. And so the association wants this enforcement of the guidelines that we have, the framework of the CBN. However, what we don't want is that there shouldn't be any disconnect between the government and we that are really at the last rung of the ladder. We want them to sit with us, let them hear from us so that we can give them the realities that is obtainable out there. They can't just make laws for us when they do not even understand how the business operates. So that is where we are.
Okay. All right, Oluwasegun, I'll take a quick break, but when I come back, I will also need you to, just give us some, clear way to go as regards some gray areas that people have talked about. For instance, there are talks about, the POS merchant always surrounding banks, and they allegedly make the ATMs not to work. It's still Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. We still have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us in the studios. We'll take a quick break and return with more. Do join us again.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Welcome back to Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. We're looking at financial inclusion vis-a-vis the operations of mobile money and, of course, bank agents in Nigeria to ensure sanity, because there have been lots of complaints, concerning the operations. And we have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us here in the studios. So, Oluwasegun, let's talk more concerning that. Is there any truth to the fact that these POS operators, they allegedly, it sounds funny though, they allegedly, make, I don't know, maybe some sort of collaboration, or maybe with bank officials, or I don't know, sometimes you notice that they're always around banks, and somehow the ATMs don't work, and lo and behold, you have the POS agents to your rescue.
Yeah, just like I've said, there are allegations and they are laughable. One of the roles that we have come to play, and then I will say categorically that if all mobile money and bank agents down tools today, the banks cannot handle the traffic that they generate. They cannot.
Because practically most people don't even go for bank for withdrawals or transfers these days.
These days you see people with their shorts just walk out of their room to the nearest outlet to make withdrawals. So the fact is, there are different networks that's the different switches, the banks, ATM, the POS, even with POS A and POS B, there are different switches. You discover that the next outlet will tell you it doesn't have network on its POS terminal. Then you discover that when you go to the next one, you are able to do your transaction. Does it mean the POS here has sabotaged the network of POSB? No. Just like you have for telcos, where you can say there's no network on your own line, and another person will say, I have network here. That is how this operates. It is pure technology. But when you see that people swarm around ATM points, number one, that is even wrong, because you're not supposed to hawk.
Yeah, they're supposed to have the visible locations.
It's a visible location. You're not supposed to hawk. It is not bread and puff. This financial service. You have to be in a standard location where people come to you, because you must record your transactions. So when you see people walk around, because they know that there's a limit to what they can load in the machines. And then on weekends, most times, the bank staff have gone home. They only come back to check and reload. So at that point, between the time the machine is not dispensing again and the point they are reloaded, that availability gap is what the POS agent that hawk around make use of, or those that even have outlets around the banks. There's nobody sabotaging. The fact is, we have a large population that the banks, as we have them today, cannot cater for.
All right, let's try and understand something else now. You talked about mobile money operators, you talked about bank agents. I'll need you to just give a bit of a differentiation between both of them. And then again, is this an all-commerce affair as it is right now? Or because sometimes you find people ordinarily, it's as though practically everywhere you go, you just see people with POS, even those who do other business, they just put the POS by, on the side, and they also see their agent as well. So I need you to explain the difference between a mobile money operator and, of course, the bank agent or POS agent, as it were, and how accessible is it to just get the POS?
Okay, so there are two set of institutions that are in the are playing in the field. We have the bank-led and the non-bank led. The bank-led, you have some banks who have the core agency banking structure. They have it. I don't want to begin to mention names. Then you also have the non-bank led, the MMOs, who also have the license to operate as a player in the industry. So you can get provided by any of these set of institutions. That is one. Number two, it is not an all-commerce affair. It is just because of the enforcement of the framework and guidelines that we're talking about that is not really in place. And that's why we, as an association, are talking about self-regulation, because we see that things are going down the drain, and we know what efforts some of the pioneers of this business have put in, and we do not want that to go to waste. So it is not an all-commerce affair. Number one, you need to have a visible location. You need to be known. Of course, it's like you're opening a bank account. All the requirements of opening a bank account are required for you to supply it, to have a provider with any of the institutions that you have chosen. And then, of course, there has to be spacing. What we have today is that you see agents cluster around a small area in a place where you just have 50
seem to be so
residents.
localized.
I mean, one person is serving that 50 people. Then you see that in the next 2 months, another 5 has come. The customers are not increasing.
So how does Amban ensure that that does not happen?
That is what the task force that we have inaugurated now, it's going to ensure across the nation. The task force is going to begin to go out. We piloted this last year in Oyo State, and we saw the result. We went out and we saw that many of these agents are just operating. They don't have any record of any kind. And these are things that are just primary requirements. As an agent, you must have your record book where you record your transactions. If anything happens in 2018, then you go back to your record, open it, and I mean, it has saved a lot of people. But what you find out today is that even transaction of yesterday, some agents will tell you they don't have any record for it.
So invariably, they should be keeping records of every transaction.
Every transaction. Any type of transaction, because in transaction, we mean withdrawal, we mean deposit, we mean bill payments.
Okay.
So all of these have to be in a proper book with the dates. And that is how you are able to also track your own fund to know if you are making profit or not. So you don't just get into the business just to throw away money. That is what majority of the people are doing out there.
All right. But I know this in so many ways, has helped a lot of unemployed youths, because practically most people wouldn't just want to fold their arms. School leavers have taken, into this particular business. But then again, I need to understand one more thing. Would you say the banks are, in a way, liable, with this issue of proliferation of POS agents all over the place? Because I've heard a school of thought say that most times they just want to meet target, and also they just go about giving POS randomly. Is this true?
Yeah, I would say yes. Not banks alone now. The MMOs too.
Okay, the mobile money operators.
If there are people that really have this nonchalance attitude to our approach to enforce the guidelines, I mean, there are some players who will tell their agents, being their principal, they will tell them, don't join Amban. And we are telling them, we are not in competition with you. It is for us to have sanity, in the business space, so that everybody will be fine. Now, if all of us come together, as everybody in the value chain come together, we understand the problems that we have, and we see to how we can resolve all of this and have a better business space, better for us. We cannot say, and in all of this, they invest more. And there were times gone by where, some of them were observing these guidelines.
Okay.
But when they saw that some people were not doing same, they joined the fray. I mean, it's now like Banana Republic. That is what we are saying. That's why we are saying we do not want this kind of situation.
All right. We just believe and hope that in a matter of time, a very small time, that these issues that would be adequately addressed, and all of this insanity that we find in this particular sector will be completely be done with over time. And we must say a very big thank you to you as well for finding time to join us to look at all of these issues.
Thank you for having me.
All right, indeed, we have been speaking with Oluwasegun Elegbede. He is the National Public Relations Officer of AMBAN, which is the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria. Now, that's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Akadunye. Let's do it again next time. Bye for now.
name is Oluwatosin Olale, and our business is called Pathway Giants Limited. At Pathway Giants Limited, we provide packaging solutions for small businesses in Nigeria. Our focus is on small businesses. We help small businesses to take their products from local to global, because we know that we have a lot of products being produced, especially now that everybody's brother and sister is into business. So we know a lot of people are producers, but we still have to, they still are limited in markets to the Nigerian market. And with the ACTFA agreements and the government trying to encourage businesses to take their business global, to export their products, our Nigerian products are not so easily acceptable in other climes because our packaging is poor. So that's what we are here today. We are here to fill in the gap, to help provide workable packaging solutions with smaller minimum order quantities and help them package their products in a way that will delight their customers. My background is in banking. I started banking in 2006, thereabouts, and I worked in about 3 banks. So my journey started when I was moved in 2012 to marketing. And because I was moved to marketing, I was handling businesses, and I had to, I had a close relationship with business owners. And that was how I began to understand the kind of businesses, the way businesses are run, basically, and also what kind of problems they have. And that was how I jumped into this. So from leaving banking, the only thing I had to do was set up a packaging company and be able to provide solutions to what I thought was a problem in Nigeria. I'm a late bloomer when it comes to knowing what I want to do with my life, and that's why a lot of people know from the very beginning. But for a very long time, I just knew I wanted to work in an office. But as at that time, something started shifting in me, because the more I saw people running their business and, fulfilling their destiny, so to speak, it felt like something was missing for me. And at some point, I met someone that makes nylon. That's all she does. And she used to make what we call toromagbe. That's the small black nylon that when you go somewhere, you buy something, they put it in. That was what she used to make. And that's started sealing it in for me that, okay, this is what I want to do. But I don't want to do it the same way she's doing it. I want to be able to provide a service that everybody needs. Because we all know that the toromagbe nylon is something that is more of a menace in society. But how can I take this, what I love, and bring it into what is a problem in the society? And that was what bettered the packaging industry. So we have evolved over time from just providing shopping bags into providing solutions that businesses need. My training was more or less informal, because there is no particular school that teaches packaging, but I had to choose mentors, and most of my mentors were not even in the same industry I work in. So I had to marry the kind of information I was getting along with regular business trainings into what I have today. I'm a UN 3 awardee. The government of Goodluck Jonathan awarded some entrepreneurs grants back then, and I was one of the sets for the 3rd one. I got 10 million naira, and that was the first funding we used for this business. After that, I put in for the Tony Melu entrepreneurship program, and I won $5,000. So that has helped, and so many other grants along the way that I've put in for. And then, of course, a lot came in from our savings. And then when I started this business, my husband was still working. So we had to take out a couple of loans here and there. And then, of course, whatever he was able to take out of what he was earning, that's what we used. Challenges, there are many. Where do I start from? So we have the number 1 challenge is power. That's the number 1 challenge. This is a very power-intensive business. So if I was to put on my generator for this system, I will have to use a 100 kVA generator. That's having to spend an average of 50,000 naira for fuel daily. So power is a major challenge. When I want to start my machines, I need to warm them up for like an hour before I start at all. So even if I was using a generator, that's like money down the drain. So we need to have sustainable power to be able to run this business. That's number one. Number two is staffing. We use a lot of blue-collar workers, so they didn't go to school to learn this, they learned it as a trade. You understand? So there is no school in which you go to and say, okay, this is how to run an extruder. We don't have such schools in Nigeria. So they kind of like have they go in under someone, learn it, and then they go out to go and learn. So you can't really place how much information or how much they have learned, except when you put them to test. So sometimes you employ someone and you realize that they don't know as much as they claim they do, or maybe they are making a lot of mistakes. You have to either train them and like I said, there is no formal training system. So you have to either train them or maybe bring in someone that has more experience over them. And then because, like I said, they are blue-collar workers, there is a lot of other issues that spring up as a result of them working with you, because some are not teachable, some come in with their own preconception of how things should be run, and they don't want to change that. So you have to like have a lot of hit and miss before you have your perfect fit. Raw materials. The raw materials industry is dominated by foreigners. So we have Lebanese, we have Indians, and we don't seem to have been able as Nigerians to get into that business effectively. So Nigerians work the recycled raw material aspects. But even when you go outside the country, into China, Dubai, anywhere where all these things are shipped from, and you try to get in there and say, I want to ship, they tell you, no, go to this person that is probably Lebanese, that is working in Nigeria. So one way or the other, they kind of dominate the space. And by dominating the space, they dominate the price. They also own factories. So they kind of control things. They control the pricing of what we sell. They can flood the markets at any time with their own products. While they are the ones still selling raw materials to us at a higher price. So we need a space in which Nigerians are also playing in this space, so that it's more, you have more competition, more healthy competition in that space. First of all, I would say that paper bags are from trees. So if you're using paper bags, you are causing deforestation. And that means you're not helping the environment either. So there is this misconception that, okay, if you use plastic bags, that means you're not helping the environment. That's far from true. The problem we have with everything is that we don't reuse, we don't reduce what we use, we don't reuse, and we don't recycle. The moment we can do these three things, whether for paper bags or for plastic bags or for plastic bottles, then the world will be a better place. The person that started the plastic bags, that invented it because he didn't want them to kill off all the trees to make paper bags. So he invented a plastic bag that could be reusable. The problem started when we started using them as single use. Now, my own industry, like I showed you earlier, we have most of the raw materials we use, especially for our garbage bags and other non-food grade products, are raw materials from recycled products. So the problem in Lagos, I would say Lagos because I don't want to use Nigeria as a whole, is being able to access this waste, because most of it goes to the dumps. And when it goes to the dump, I can't use it anymore because a lot of other chemicals have infused into it. Can we have a place where we can take this raw material, this waste from source? If we can take it from source, then we can recycle and reuse them into bags that we can still use. So for me, I would believe that if we can have a government that would look into resolving the problem and not just taking out, stop banning plastic products. Because I'll put it to you that a paper bag is what, if you're going to buy a paper bag for a particular nylon bag size, then you're going to be paying like 4, 5, 6 times the price you would have paid for the nylon bag. And the nylon bag is more reusable than the paper bag. I'm in the paper bag space too. So I wouldn't want my business to go down, but it's supposed to be a case of education, one, and then having the proper systems in place to collect and separate waste. If we can collect and separate waste from mushy markets, where a lot of nylons and a lot of plastic bottles are being thrown away and thrown into our sewage system, then people like me, we are happier because that means my raw materials are cheaper. It's the advice I give myself every day. Sometimes I ask myself, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Especially when, the electricity company rears its ugly head and we have power outages, or they are simply messing up our plans, I'll tell you, just hang in there. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. And I will consider myself a youth in this case. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better. So if we all pack up and go, what will happen tomorrow? Will there be no Nigeria? Because we can go there and we can make it happen. It's harder here, yes. You have to strive more, you have to work at it more, but it's still doable. We still have businesses that are selling we still have companies that are selling their businesses for thousands and thousands, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if they can hang in there, then we can hang in there. And then we can, leverage on one another. Let's collaborate. Instead of looking at each other as competitors, let's look at each other as collaborators. For example, if anybody wanted to go into this industry, because it's so power and capital intensive, I tell them, why don't you let me produce for you? I'll produce for you at a cheaper rate. You can go on and market. So if we can do that, like if you have a business, another business I'm so passionate and interested in is the food business, because we have a lot of waste, and we have some companies that they process these products and they package. So why are you in your little corners trying to, pack it in nylon, and people are telling you your packaging is not nice and you're wondering what else can you do? Why not go to this kind of person? She already has, our place is already NAFDAC approved. Every other approval is in place. Go there with your raw material, go there with your packaging. They package for you and you are home free. So why do we all have to go into the nitty-gritty parts of each business? You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell. The selling, the market is where the problem is. Anybody can do anything, but if you can have your market, then you don't even have to have the product. Get someone that has the product. Push. That's the advice I have for people. So it has been a long journey because you have to earn the trust of your customers. But we started small. Even though we had the factory and everything, we had to start small. We had to have a product, so to speak. And it's hard when you're selling packaging, because when you're selling packaging, they think customers think you're selling the product in it. So if I give you like I'm going to show you something from Jam Coconuts. So if I'm showing it to you, I'm trying to show you the package, but you can see the product in it. So it's a hard sell. But over time, we've been able to leverage on references. If I produce for you, you refer me to someone. And then also we have a very vibrant social media plan. So we put whatever we do on social media, and people from there, and then of course we do social media marketing. And from there we've been having a lot of hits, a lot of customers are asking what we do. Then another fundamental way we've been able to gain customers is that most of people in this space, when you want to package your product, they'll tell you, come and do 100,000 pieces, 200,000 pieces, and then we can package your product for you. But I tell you, come and do 10,000 pieces. And even as we speak, we are looking at how we can work on reducing that to 1,000 pieces. So that means that we are a low entry barrier kind of, we are opening up a low entry barrier kind of market for people that are willing to go into entrepreneurship, because most people don't even, they don't know if they will have that market yet. And you're telling them, I was talking to a customer recently, and she was showing me what she did like 3 years ago. She did like 200,000 pieces. She hadn't used up to 1/4 of it. And now she wants to change her packaging. So all that is a waste. So we are trying to create a niche for those people that, okay, we want to test the market. We have 3-4 products. Which one will move? If I do 100,000 pieces of each product, and then one is not moving, does that mean I've wasted my money? So what we are trying to do is, okay, come and do 1,000 pieces. Of course, it will be more expensive than if we were doing 100,000, but it's still at a price you can go to market with. So by the time you do that, you try the market. Oh, I have 5 products, but I think I'll go to market with 3 products. Then we can do 10,000 pieces for you. Then when you grow to the extent where you can do 100,000 pieces, then we can take you to 100,000 pieces. And each time your price drops.
According to a research paper, in several developing countries, there is an informal waste management system. Plastic pollution is currently a serious problem in developing countries, with many people in these countries relying on plastic sachet of water in the absence of affordable and readily available drinking water. The mismanagement of waste, particularly plastic, in these countries through dumping or burning not only has a negative environmental impact, it also has a seriously detrimental effect on public health, with one person dying every 30 seconds as a consequence of poor waste management. According to Bioenergy Consult, in Nigeria, the management of waste is a matter of national concern, as current data shows that the country generates more than 32 million tons of solid waste annually, one of the highest amounts in Africa. Over 15% of the municipal solid waste generated are from plastics and nylons. The volume of waste does not actually constitute the problem, but the inability of government, individuals, and waste disposal firms to keep up with the task of managing waste and the environment. The problem emanates from the country's poor culture of recycling waste. The Global Journal of Research and Review states that at every hour of the day, waste materials are indiscriminately disposed in Nigeria. The effects are seen in the quality of air, blockage of drainages, destruction of land, and poor health of inhabitants of polluted areas. Thus, green recycling of waste nylon is a veritable tool that should be encouraged in the country. It can promote both social and environmental development. It helps to protect the environment, enhance a cleaner environment, create jobs, generate revenue, brings about poverty eradication programs, reduce municipal solid waste, save costs and energy, among others. It is time we take the recycling of waste very seriously in the country because according to Nairametrics, today, the recycling industry is estimated to be worth several billions of naira, but this is nothing compared to the revenues it has the potential to generate should the right investments be made. Small and medium enterprise, green entrepreneurs, and individuals that are passionate about the environment should tap into this emerging business opportunity. The business process involves collection, separation, and reduction of waste nylon and plastic bottles, and then remanufacturing it into either same product or entirely new products. Items that can be made from recycled waste nylon and plastic bottles include shopping bags, nylons, waste disposable bags, nylon sachets, among many others.
My name is Adewale Olaleye, and I'm in charge of strategy and operation in Pathway Giant. I'm actually responsible for strategy direction for the organization, and I manage the entire production from sourcing of the materials down to producing the materials and delivering for customers and ensuring the customers are satisfied with what was delivered. I looked at it as, because I actually worked in a corporate organization for a couple of years, about 15, 16 years. So I've worked with a lot of people. So working with my wife too, I just assumed that is one of my colleagues that I've worked with because I've been moved from one role to another role and you have to adapt to the people you meet with. So I just assumed that she's my colleague. Even when I'm in the office, I call her partner. When I'm talking to customers, I don't even want people to see that we're kind of my spouse. So I call her my MD or my colleague in the office. So that's the way I see it. So it's not really different from when I was in the 8 to 5 kind of work, and I see a lot of people I work with. It got to a point when it just started, I was very enthusiastic about it. But it got to a point I was like, wow, are we doing the right thing? Because money just going down the drain. You know, if I need to cite an example, before I used to enjoy my money before we started the business. You know, I'm very comfortable, things were going on with my money, but when we started the business, I discovered that I can't just spend money anyhow. I can't just spend. You know, I have to be looking at, these people might need money now, so they might need to pay NEPA bills immediately, they might need to pay salaries, and no money is coming in, you know, and it was very frustrating. But I just look at it as, you know, when you give out to a child, you know, a child will start sucking, then before start crawling, you know, taking step one after the other before started walking and running. So I believe that it will get to a point whereby the business will be running as well. So I just have to be a bit patient to see the business go to that level. Fine, I handle strategy. Even when I was doing the 8 to 5, I still look at the book from the back end. I said, okay, what are you guys performing? And I was able to see, okay, we're not doing something right, so okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you use this kind of strategy to see maybe it works better? You know, so we started, we've changed a couple of strategy, but just last year, something started working, so we started pushing it, and towards the Q4 of last year, the company was able to pay all the bills conveniently without sourcing from other source. You know, so from last year, Q4, we've been profitable. The low side, you know, especially when you're looking for raw materials, you have orders and you cannot even get the right raw materials to fulfill the order is a lot of challenges. And from the strategy point of view, it was it's a very huge market, and you have a lot of big players. You know, when you're doing the interview with the MD, she mentioned the fact that you have the Lebanese who has foreign money, the backing of the government. Government give them a lot of grants and loans, you know, for them to operate. So they are quite big. So we try to look at, okay, how can we catch a niche? How can we remain competitive? How can we be able to capture some market? Because if you want to play in that red ocean, definitely the sharks, big sharks will just eat you up. So we try to look at, okay, how can we differentiate ourselves from the so-called nylon business? You know, that's why we started coming up with what I refer to as a market development strategy, where I was able to identify some markets and create the products from packaging kind of products to meet those markets. And that actually causes the growth to be very slow. But we know we are moving in the right direction, so we kept on growing a bit and bit by bit. And I will categorically say right now that actually we are moving. And I think we are going in the right direction. So that is, to me, is a fun thing for me, because I just look at the entire industry and I'll say, oh, so I can actually still differentiate myself, despite the fact that everybody is looking at, oh, this is the kind of business we run. This is kind of like, if I go to other people that's doing this kind of business, they were like, why are you doing this way? I'll say, no, this is what I feel is right. And I've advised a couple of people. Some people get a kind of transaction. They will tell me, oh, this transaction is a lot of money there. I'll say, I'm not doing it. This is not good. By the time they step into it, at the end of the day, by the time they spend 1, 2, 3 months, they'll discover that, this is not a good transaction. But me, I've been able to see it, you know, from afar. Maybe because of my training. I went to a business school, so I studied business as well. So I was able to, you know, understand how to tweak strategy to fit into what you want. I was talking with the MD late last year, early this year. I said I should have even taken this step for a long time. I think I delayed a lot because I discovered that joining the team, you know, I was able to actually drive that operation, and I was able to drive low cost, reduce our cost of operation very well, and that increased our profitability. So, though it was a tough decision, because you know you're going to worlds you don't know what's going to happen. You're getting something paid at the end of 30 days, and now you have to look for how to pay salary, nothing is coming in. But as I am today, I was thinking that I should have even taken a step and moved from the paid employment for a long time, because I could see that when I added up my own experience as well to the business, then the growth was evident. I started moving at a faster speed. Anyone that's actually doing I wouldn't say that doing a 8 to 5 is not a good idea, because actually you need the experience, you need the network, you need all the that experience actually you need to do your drive business. But I think looking at the fact that I am working on my own, I'm able to put food on people's table. I was able to solve Nigerian unemployment problem. Right now I have, when we started, we have about 2 staff. Now we are having about 7 staffs, and I'm just recruiting more people now. Maybe in the next 1 month we might be getting up to 10, 11 staffs. I think that's bringing joy to me to see that I'm actually, putting food on people's table and being a blessing to people. Just beside even making the money, but at least I am giving people happiness. Of course, bringing happiness to people's faces. PlusTvAfrica to be a conglomerate, a group of companies. The roadmap has already been drawn to be a global company. whereby we're going to international business, international trade, and then be a one-stop shop for packaging in Nigeria. Going to our online space, creating a market space for packaging online. So that's my goal. That's my plan for Pathway Giant.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshuke.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. By no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild.
This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Good morning, I am Adibanke Odunui and this is a news update. The Eagle Square is a beehive of activities as preparation remains in top gear to ensure the All Progressives Congress APC is putting everything in place to ensure party convention is a success. Party delegates, journalists and food vendors are all there to observe the work in progress. Members of the convention organizing committee are all on the ground to supervise the work as it progresses. Our correspondent Paul George takes a background look at the APC convention.
The coalition of All Progressive Congress APC Youth Group wish to use this medium to pass a vote of confidence on the chairman.
Skimming, one of the major strategies politicians adopt in elections. The two major political parties, All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, have been struggling to contain their internal crises. Earlier in March, the leadership of All Progressive Congress had a mild drama when the chairman, Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, CECPC, of the party, Governor Mai Mela Buni of Yobe State, traveled for a medical treatment, and the Niger State Governor, Abubakar Sani Bello, took over. Virtually all the APC governors gave their support to Governor Bello and even tried to stabilize him as the chairman of CECPC of the party. INEC laid the scheming to rest when it revealed that the letter sent to its commission stating a date for APC National Convention was postponed and was not signed by the recognized chairman, Mai Mela Buni, and the secretary, Akpan Odoegdege.
Governor Mai Mela Buni has continued to increase the fortune of the party. In our individual capacities, we need to encourage him to do more, especially in the moment of transition being organized by the party.
Finally, its long-awaited convention where faithfuls will know their fate and stand. Who becomes what? That's the burning question as the general election odds up. Meanwhile, watchers see the internal party wranglings as litmus test for APC popularity among Nigerians. Paul George, Plus TV News.
And still on the APC convention, we spoke to a political analyst on our primetime news, and here's what he had to say.
People are predicting that there will be an implosion because it is said that the party is a party of string bedfellows, which means there are different factions within the party. But even more than that is the fact that the issue of a consensus candidate is expected. I mean, that is a pathway I believe they have chosen, because if they decide to go through an election, then obviously they might have problems. As some analysts are predicting that it might just mark probably the beginning of the end of what is today seemingly one united party. And don't forget, the stakes are very high in this particular election. And what are the stakes? First of all, the issue of the primaries are coming up. It's assumed that whoever the leaders are that emerge from the party will go a very long way in influencing who emerges as the candidate of the party. So the stakes are very high. Consensus may seem like a way out, but I can assure you that if it doesn't favor some parties, or if it's manipulated against some parties, then it might just be the beginning of a whole drama in the months and weeks coming up.
Nigeria's first female vice-chancellor, Professor Grace Alele Williams, is dead. Alele Williams, who was also the first woman to receive a doctorate in Nigeria, died at an undisclosed hospital in Lagos. She was 89 years old. The late professor of mathematics was appointed vice-chancellor of the University of Benin in 1985, confirming the death of the respected university administrator and mathematician, a former commissioner for higher education, Delta State, and ex-head of Department of English, the University of Lagos, Professor Hope Igaga, said Alele Williams died on Friday. And on to other parts of Africa, Togo's former Prime Minister Gilbert Hongbu was elected this Friday as the Director General of the International Labour Organization. Hongbu is the first African to occupy this position. The former Prime Minister of Togo succeeds former British trade unionist Guy Ryder, who has been in office for 10 years. And now South Africa. President Joe Biden met with U.S. Army troops stationed in Poland on Friday, March 25th, as part of his two-day visit to the country. The president greeted members of the elite 82nd Airborne Division who have been deployed to Poland as part of efforts to reinforce NATO's eastern flank. Biden stopped by the base's mess where he chatted, took selfies, and shared White House-provided pizza with servicemen and servicewomen.
The world ain't going to be the same, not because of Ukraine, but I'm not going to be the same 10, 15 years from now in terms of our organizational structures. And the question is, who's going to prevail? Are democracies going to prevail and the values we share, or autocracy is going to prevail? And that's really what's at stake. So what you're doing is consequential, really consequential.
And in business news, Nigeria recorded a sum of $6.7 billion as capital inflows from foreign countries in 2021, dropping by 31% compared to the $9.7 billion received in the previous year. This represents the lowest inflows recorded since 2016. A recently released capital importation report for Q4 of 2021, published by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), shows that Nigeria attracted its lowest foreign inflows in 5 years since 2016, where its capital imported was stated at $5.12 billion. Nigeria's foreign reserve continued to dwindle down following a negative foreign trade balance recorded in 2021 and falling capital importation. And in entertainment news, Prince William says that Britain's royal family would respect any decision the Bahamas may take about its future with pride and respect. The Duke of Cambridge made the comments on the third leg of a Caribbean tour that has been marked by protest over the British Empire's legacy and the signs of waning influence on the monarchical system.
I came here with my mother as a child. Snorkeling around the James Bond wrecks off Nassau left me with the most vivid memory of your beautiful blue waters. For a young boy obsessed with 007, it was the best holiday ever. Next year, I know you're all looking forward to celebrating 50 years of independence, your golden anniversary. And with Jamaica celebrating 60 years of independence this year, and Belize celebrating 40 years of independence last year, I want to say this. We support with pride and respect your decisions about your future. Relationships evolve, friendship endures.
And in sports news, the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Kumasi held the Black Stars of Ghana to a goalless draw in the first leg of their 2022 FIFA World Cup playoff. The Black Stars started their first half on the front foot as they piled pressure on the Nigerian defense marshaled by Captain William Trust Ekong. Nigeria's Victor Osimhen and Joe Aribo had opportunity to open the scoring late in the half, forcing Jojo Wolacott into action while Aribo's strike went over the crossbar. The Eagles will have a return match on Tuesday at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, for a place at the 2022 World Cup.
In all, I think the ball position was good. We had very, very good plays. We played out well from the back, how I wanted it. So I'm happy. It's just the result. The result could be better, but at least we didn't concede a goal.
That the team is a new team. We did only 3 days training, and then we have to put in effort to perform like this. So you can see from AFCON and then this performance, you can see a lot of things have changed in the team. Even the fighting spirit was there. So the most important thing is that we need to win.
And I said we'll come out here, work hard, and make sure we get something out of this game. That was the game plan. And Ghana team is, I also told you yesterday, it's not a team you can brush aside with one arm, because it's a very, very good team. I followed Ghana football nearly all my career, but with the performance they put up today, it was expected. It was expected. But our boys, I'll say congratulations, because they were able to soak up the pressure and then took control of the game in the second half. And again, you know, Ghana, yes, they were on top of their game, but they didn't have any clear-cut chance. But we had 2 clear-cut chances where it could have been a win, but a draw, I think we're very okay.
But yeah, no, of course, it was difficult for the guys on the wing. I think also the pitch didn't help. It was a very dry pitch. You saw sometimes they struggled moving the ball quickly. But I think it's also, you know, great work from Ghana that they figured that out. They defended the wings well. And in theory, that should have opened up some more space for us through the middle. But I think everybody was quite scared of Victor, and they were 2 against 1 most of the time. But yeah, no, we've learned from today, and we'll try to exploit the defense in a different way. But like the coach said, we still managed to get through 1 to 2 times. So I think we have to just be a little bit more clinical. And against a good team like Ghana, you might only get 2 or 1 or 3 good chances, and you have to score. Otherwise, you can't win a game like this.
And as news updates, for more stories, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Adibanke Udunui. Thank you for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Seize it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes.
As a people with one song, with one voice, we're a nation undivided and poised. We will take a stand and build our land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore. Where freedom reigns and truth prevails, our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's hope for us all. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that one day we'll shine like the sun. We're a great nation. Though we are many people, different tribes, different tongues, we're united in our strength and resolve to uphold the honor of our land and for generations to come, and for someday we would sing like the song. From the north, south, east, and west, somebody say, if you believe, join us, say, we're the foot alone with all we have. Yeah, 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 yeah. Nigeria stand up, Nigeria stand up. Join me say, yeah, we're a great nation. Oh, yeah.
Da 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 da, yeah. 7 years after school, but I've been steady way too high. Them say no work for town, but people keep getting jobs. Preacher says don't worry, son, your miracle is on the way. Oh. Same words he'd heard before, about 7 years ago. Oh, it might have fit to take long, but joy will come. I know you can, so Lord, please make a way. I will wait for my miracle. I will wait for my miracle. No matter what it takes, I will wait for my miracle. I know you can, I know you make a way. Da 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 da. 10 years after wedding, sister Ruth still way too wide. Can't seem to have a job, and she can't tell the reason why. Preacher says, don't worry, girl, your miracle is on the way. Oh, same word she'd heard before, about 10 years ago. The matter fit to take long, but joy will come. I know you can, so God, please make a way. I will wait for my miracle. I will wait for my miracle. No matter what it takes, I will wait for my miracle. I know you can, I know you make a way. No matter if it take so long, it breaks my heart that I even have to wait so long. But Lord, I will trust in you. Hold on to your every word. I will wait for you. Lord, I will wait. I will wait for my miracle. I will wait for my miracle. No matter what it takes, I will wait for my miracle. I know you can, I know you make a way. Da 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 da. I will wait for you, Lord, I will wait.
Okay, so earlier in the month, it was the International Women's Day, celebrated by the female gender and men who understand and appreciate the value and potential of the woman. Well, rounding off the Women's Month is the celebration of yet another one, Mother's Day.
And that should be this Sunday?
Yes, this Sunday.
This Sunday is the final one. And so to all mothers out there who have weathered the storm of life, stood firm, and stood to nurture sons and daughters, raised the bar, even in a male-dominated society, and supported spouses to be the best that they were created to be, we wish us a successful celebration. And happy Mother's Day.
Helen, I don't trust you. Now, you're talking about, women now being at power, yes?
So much we have done. John.
And you still say that it's a male-dominated environment? It's not so much male-dominated.
Against all odds.
I think now,
against all odds.
You see, Helen, I think women are now dominating. They've had the whole of March.
Okay.
Women's Day, Mother's Day, Girls' Day.
Only 1 month out of 9, out of 12 months.
We don't know what you're coming up with in April.
Only 1 month, 30 days out of 12 months.
Anyway, that was well articulated, Helen.
Thank you.
Well, it's our hope and prayer that the world becomes kinder to the woman, kicking violence out of our homes and families. And of course, anger is one thing that has robbed the family and society of its sweetness and flavor.
Yes, indeed, John, and anger continues to be that one thing. And we're talking about anger this morning on the program, and not just anger, but its management, because we must manage it to kick it out. So it's very important that we have decided to put up this topic for discussion. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's a day with John and Helen.
Yes, anger is that strong. Yeah, and actually it's a strong, is it a feeling or an emotion? It's a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, hostility, irritation, and more. It's a
moral behavior.
It's a moral behavior, and it's an emotion, we all feel. Maybe it's normal and healthy and allows us to know when all is good or right in the world. So anger can be good and bad. Yeah. So you may ask, why are we talking about this? Stick around and you'll find out more. I am John Senaya. Welcome to the program.
Okay, so now that we have done some, introduction of what today seems to look like majorly, let's take our very first break, and when we come back, more on the program. Welcome once. Okay, so if you just join in, you are right on time. This is Today with John and Helen, and it's your wholesome family show on Plus TV Africa. And by the way, always, I'm Helen Ongma Odele. Well, Pharaoh Shonuga is our host on the
Lifestyle.
on the lifestyle segment. She's on the show later today. So also is Ima Atta and Dolly. They're all standing by to bring their game, to the show at the appropriate time. But before we hit the road dissecting for your pleasure this morning, anger and anger management, let's take a very quick look at some happenings or some things that we may have observed going back and forth in town within the week, John.
Going back and forth?
Yeah.
Or the lack of it?
Going through our various businesses.
Now you can't go back and forth on Eco Bridge.
The fire in Akpogbo. And Akpogbo is so central to the lives of everybody in Lagos.
It's not just that we have a fire or had a fire in Akpogbo. It's the fact that we could even allow commercial houses, stores and all of that to be located at that place.
That would be a Herculean task for this government.
No, but there's been...
to effect a change. Yes, I know that there is...
Yeah, they've pronounced that all such...
giving 7 days notice or 12 days
will
notice.
Be pulled down. But
well, let's see.
How on earth in the
did
first
it come about?
Place? I don't know, especially in Lagos.
But the truth of the matter is, John, there is no part, very few areas in Lagos now that is either solely residential or entirely commercialized. Everything now is into and town planning and all of that comes to question.
Well, that's what jumps to my mind readily, of course. And then the recent news about the loss, of our dear professor of mathematics education, Professor Grace Alele Williams. That's another Amazon gone. Well, I think she put in a lot.
She did.
She really did a lot for us in this country.
She pulled a lot of the women, from where we were for a long time. And, never thinking that a woman could rise up to that. She was number one.
And we will all dearly miss her. So our condolences to everyone.
And something else I'd like to bring the attention of a lot of Lagosians. Yesterday I was at a party. Going was bad. The length and breadth of Third Mainland was like no movement for up to like 4 or 5 hours. There was a car that was burning midway. So that could be explained. But coming back, 6, 7-ish, 8, 10, another 4 hours. And it's Lagos, so you can explain it. Traffic, not expected, anything can happen. But the absence of not one single security person. And the Third Mainland it wasn't so beautifully lit. And then you still, at that point in time, had the boys who were selling chips, who were selling water, selling all kinds of things. And to me, they were not really just selling. And the absence of security operatives, I had my mouth.
It's mind-boggling.
I had my mouth in my way.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling because I actually expected that the traffic situation will become chaotic after the Akpogbo incident.
So that
because a lot of people now it means that our traffic
was the only
flow
gateway.
is impeded, compromised. So a lot of pressure has now moved to Third Mainland. But let's see how the traffic agency would cope with it.
So if Akpogbo is still shut down and Third Mainland will be the only route, please, let's have security presence, please.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay. So, Helen, moving straight on. It's time to welcome to the studio, yet again, a very dependable and reliable friend of the house, Excel Adeleye Samuel, a professional counselor and a chartered mediator. He is founder, Walmart Behavioral Science and Mental Care College, and co-founder, Walmart Counseling and Coaching Company.
Our guest is also the initiator of We Do You Well Foundation. I'd like to know how well this foundation does for us. Excel Adeleye Samuel is already seated with us. And once again, thank you for always making time. I always looking so cool.
Thank you. That's a big compliment.
Always looking so cool.
I'm trying to rest. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you for
it's
coming.
Nice meeting you. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, my good friend Excel, let me sit down well, because today's topic is about anger management.
Okay.
And I think I need an eyeball to eyeball on this. Now, you see, it doesn't take much to get me angry. I didn't know about you. So could you tell me, what are you someone who gets angry easily, and why?
I think depending on situation, when you say that, what comes to mind is we have to ask questions about personality. It's more likely that a reserved person may not show some level of anger.
A reserved person.
A reserved person. Okay?
Okay.
And the outgoing person will react easily. And that's why you found that at home, is that daddy is hot, mommy is cold, and depending. And they just attract to balance. And this happened unconsciously, where 12 people just marry themselves. And you found that a house where everybody reacts instantly, then the marriage or relationship does not last easily. You know, so personality has a lot to do in that regard. When I mean personality, it depends on is this person by nature like that, or the environment also has contributed to that. For example, a child who grew up in Mushin may be more likely, even is reserved, to react when there's crisis instead of him to be in control of his emotions, because you respond to adversity. That's what they are trained. But somebody is trained to calm down and look at the adversity and strategically now respond to the adversity.
I hope the people in Mushin won't take you up on that.
No, not at all. They understand, you know. They understand. So personality has a lot to do with that. What you are exposed to, how you are educated, has to a lot to do.
So right now, a lot of people in this environment, like yesterday, I experienced a lot of outbursts of frustration, of anger.
And you are still angry.
For different... I'm not angry anymore, John. I have no choice. All right, so a lot of people are angry around us at the moment. Now, what are the usual triggers for different people, you know? And is it justifiable, if I can ask that question, really?
You see, I think the first thing we need to bring to be is we need to look at anger, not necessarily from the negative side of it. And I think that's what we get wrong first.
Okay.
Anger, there's a course I called How to Make Your Anger Sweet.
How to make your anger sweet.
So suddenly in your environment there's so much poverty. I mean, I heard a song by Timi Dakolo says, I believe in Nigeria. And somebody may be doubting Nigeria, but somebody who believes in Nigeria may be looking at the opportunity of how to make it hard. Is angry with seeing people throw bean on the floor, and this guy suddenly beginning to tell himself, how do I solve this problem? He creates a company or creates initiative around it, and that is him turning his anger around. Okay? So there are a lot of things, like the question you asked, that things triggered. Transportation in Lagos is something else itself. You know, traffic. I mean, the other day I was in the evening. I mean, a lot of people go through a lot on Tomiland Bridge, and I happened to, pass through Tomiland Bridge around 7 evening.
It's such a long stretch, by the way.
I mean, I begin to wonder what people go through in that. So,
yesterday was exceptionally bad. Yesterday I was tempted to offer people rides.
Who was stranded,
but I didn't feel safe.
No, you couldn't.
I didn't feel safe.
That's it.
And I felt sorry that I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
People were looking for transportation.
Yes, yeah.
Lots of them on the
Lots of them. So imagine somebody now hitting your car from behind. At that point, the frustration of the situation you are makes you react instantly. All of that.
Yes.
I mean, the
That's
workplace.
a quick trigger.
That's a quick trigger. The workplace, people are not raising the salary of staff, but suddenly the rice and beans and transportation has gone up.
So that one is sitting there.
It's sitting right there,
waiting to be ignited.
And somebody is asking you, we'll have to do your assessment for the month, what your performance assessment. And he said, performance what? when I'm thinking of other way. So a lot of things around us trigger communication between children, expectation, or unspoken expectation, and even spoken expectations.
Yeah.
Triggers a lot of things in that regards of people showing some level of anger, especially in the world we are right now, when there's a lot of, like you said, you are scared of picking someone. You have an idea of what that can happen. And suddenly you make an effort. As you make an effort to pick the person, it just slams your door suddenly, bam. And you're looking, why should I do that again?
Yeah. Okay, so now anger is a given, right? It's how you know,
how you manage it.
How you manage it that matters. So how really do you manage it? Are there any routines?
Yes, the law of routine first, you need to first do a personal assessment on yourself. Do you get angry easily?
Will you be objective enough?
Yes. I mean, being objective is also relative to individuals. For example, if everybody tells you one thing and you disagree with everyone, sometimes you need to check yourself. Could it be you're the only right person among everybody?
Yeah, the one who is
you
toxic.
could also, exactly. You could just go online to do an easy assessment test, which is free online, of your mental state, or to check your anger management, for example, is just right there, and all that. And when you could tell yourself the truth that I have some level of uncontrolled emotions, then you need to check it. Why is this so? There's a root, and that's what I tell people when I try to train people doing coaches and counseling. I say there's a root to the anger problem of a client. There's a root cause. The anger is an expression of something deeper.
Yeah.
For example,
not the obvious.
Not what you see. There's a root cause. So, for example, a child who didn't grow up with the father may have a less or high expectation from men. Suddenly, she's married.
Yeah.
And this outspoken need. Then the man does not understand that she's really looking for a father and to provide what she didn't have as a child.
Yeah.
But he then now relates with this lady just as husband and wife. Then the lady can't even speak I want. Boom, there's an explosion in that home.
Yeah.
So we need to know then what higher professionals do is to now check why is she reacting, why is she having the expectation, why is she saying the husband does not show emotion, why is she saying that the husband can't guide, why is she saying that she can't trust the man, for example. And this is what she's reacting to at home. The same way a man will just come home and he said, I want to make love with my wife. Boom, the guy after 2 minutes has slept off. And the lady is showing some level of anger. She's saying that I don't feel love accepted and his sexual need is not being fulfilled as a person. So there is a deeper reason why people react.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have established from the beginning that anger is not a bad, it's not a negative emotion or feeling.
It's not always the
It's not always, okay. But what anger manifests in the physical a lot of the time is evil, is bad. You talked about somebody getting angry about a deficiency in the environment, and that anger triggers you to begin to think outside of the box and bring some solution. A lot of the case is not like that. Anger isn't a lot of the time channeled towards positive results. Rather, we hear a mother pours hot water on the daughter for just a wife just does this to the husband for just
negative things make the news faster.
You see, you just establish something.
Because there's a phase. You know, if you're angry, then there's rage, then there's it's.
You see, you just established something very deep. Loads of people don't sit to strategize how to get things done. And what you practice over time becomes a lifestyle. For example,
it becomes
just a normal thing. For example, listening is not a given. Listening is a practice that becomes a lifestyle. I'll give an example. If you sit among 8 people and just have a discussion, you found out there's a consistency of interruption.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, to now be a listener, it must be a deliberate attempt. So, lots of people have not groomed themselves to deliberately manage situations before they react, or to think about it before they react. Okay,
just
at all. And that's why you see the spontaneous reactions and all of that. Of course, there's something that expects you to, for example, somebody walking now, slap my wife. I may not necessarily want to think about that and to respond.
But you should.
We have to know.
But you should think about that.
Because at that point, what matters is now protection.
Okay.
So somebody a thief coming into your house, and there's a gun right beside you.
Okay.
You don't think, should I carry the gun or not? You first think, how do you protect
your family?
There's a word you call it in psychology. You first think about that. How do you protect your family at the point and all that? But when we are talking deeper now, we are talking about when there's situation, what do you do when you can be in control and all of that?
Yes.
A lot of times we need some level of reflection before reacting. A lot of reflection before reacting. And over time, I have seen this has worked for me. A few days ago, when the property guy told me, he said, you can't use that property. He said it very casually, very derogative language.
Okay.
And am I listening to him. He was not aware that I was angry with that statement. When I left, my colleague were talking. I said, do you see that statement that guy made? I was actually pissed off. But I'll come to him later to address that matter. Then a guy called me again. I said, have you met this guy? I said, I've met him. And he said this particular word to me. Now I said, do you know what? I think both of you need to sit down and talk. Do you know that time, that gap, and the guy speaking to me gave me a better solution. And you know what? Without me reacting, the issue was actually solved. As much as it have not been discussed.
Yeah.
In that regard.
So you have to learn.
Yes.
How to control, manage, react, and all of that, so that anger becomes a positive thing.
That's it.
And when you're confronted with anger, you have to be able to, to wait and say, okay, should I react?
Yeah.
Or should I? Because sometimes you need to react.
Yes.
Like you said.
Yeah,
Yes.
you need to react to make your point.
Okay.
You need to react to get people moving.
Yeah.
You need to react, to show anger, to, put things right. So that's my understanding.
We're being asked to take our second break.
I'm angry about that.
You're angry about that. And I'm also wondering, just before we go for that break, I'm also wondering why a lot of time we make excuses for people who are in our faces and not making us feel, very appreciated. Or people who get violent say they have anger issues.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Don't be angry.
We'll come back.
Let's go on our break now.
Let's take a break. All right, you are still on to Today with John and Helen on Plus TV Africa, and we are having an amazing time right now with our guest, Excel Adele Samuel, and the subject is anger and anger management. Have you found anything that we've talked about so far useful? Have you found yourself in any of the situations? It's been confirmed today that anger is an emotion that we all feel and that it varies from mild irritation to intense fury and sometimes, unfortunately, rage. And we do know what comes out of it. So our guest is still here and he has more to tell us. John, do you have another question?
Yeah, because I do. Because actually, before you even get to intense fury and rage, remember last week we talked about anxiety.
Yes.
You know, would anxiety still be part of the lineup? Would excessive anxiety lead to rage and to... Could you link that up for us?
Yes. You see, anxiety can be defined sometimes as some level of fears.
Yes.
And then I would use the situation of Putin to look at the matter. Putin is afraid that his nation can one day be taken up by these Western people. And he can obviously see NATO and other parties strategizing one day, and it can happen. The fear of taking his own nation is driving him to fight the enemy. Or to kill the enemy that is very close.
Has led him to fury, to rage.
And to react to that because of what he could say. So, but in most cases, you found out that anxiety does not necessarily mean reality.
Okay.
You get it now? That you have a fear that the fuel will be 300 naira does not mean what happened. That's why you're seeing panic buying. Just to connect with our real situation. You know, I could see panic buying and suddenly ask, what happened? Everybody's not buying that way. And that is anxiety.
Pump price will go
up. It will go up. But suddenly you walk into the fuel station now and you buy your fuel.
And it's still the same price.
And the same price. Unfortunately, some people are bought for 500 naira per liter. The same way.
And you know, the same analogy, we use it in public speaking. You know, that before you go up on stage, you carry so much luggage. Will they laugh? Will I fall? Will I sweat? Will they see me that I'm nervous? And by the time you're delivering your speech, you find that none of those fears
is real.
Meanwhile, you've worked yourself up so much and you've ruined your presentation.
So it will be connected to that. So dealing with anxiety is also dealing with unnecessary exposure that will have happened. So most time we then need to ask people, when you see them reacting, I said this person is an angry person, what is the cause, which could be anxiety?
Which could be anxiety.
Well,
that's the link.
All right, John mentioned it earlier on, and I think I said something like, you know, a lot of Nigerians are angry, and you really have to be careful so you don't step on the wrong foot. And that's why anger and its management is so key to us this morning. If someone were saying, okay, I'm watching this show now, I need to get some answers to how I can check anger in my environment, the family first, the society outside there, the workplace and all of it. You know, the step, the ABC step to take. You said we should check ourselves. Are there other things that we should do?
I think I will use this story a friend told me to describe the situation. I think first you must be able to understand your environment and to understand what they are going through. It's very key. Understanding of people help you to let go easily. A friend told me that one day was driving on the road and there was a commotion between somewhere, but he collided with another car. And he came out, he was in a rage, he was shouting, he was doing all of that. And the guy came down, looked at the car, and he told him, he said, you're a frustrated graduate. The guy entered his car, and he just zoomed off.
Who said to who that you were?
The other guy said to my friend that you're a frustrated graduate. And he entered his car, and he moved.
That's enough to give him
And he said he went into his own car. He was there for a few minutes and he thought about it. That really I'm a frustrated guy.
Maybe he's right.
Yes. The guy was absolutely right in his assessment of my friend.
That you're just a frustrated person.
So you need to understand the situation and the people per time.
Yeah.
And that allows you to manage first the situation.
Yes.
A guy who is hungry, he will be angry.
Angry man is an
You get it
angry
now?
man.
And he doesn't have money in his pocket. I then need to know that this guy is not in a good place mentally and emotionally. That now give me some room of how to manage this person. You get it now? I think that is very important. And it's also very important for us to go every day with some level of kindness and love. And in that place of kindness and love, we are against judgment. People easily judge. You get it now? But with kindness and love, you first come in and you may not necessarily need to give excuse for the reaction because you know this person. And that's why if I come in and everybody is frowning here, it's more likely that I'm weary and I'll be watching.
Okay.
But when they smile, it's an energy that goes
Positive
around.
energy.
A friend was taking a walk somewhere abroad and on a video call, and she said, they said in this particular town that when you walk around, you must greet and say, hello, hi. So the person walking behind the English said, no, this is not from this town. That kindness is more likely that if they step on each other, because they show themselves some level of gesture, they will smile. But somewhere on Eko Idumota, when people are much and you know that you can step on yourself, if you step on me, what you know? You can be fine right there. So,
okay, you see, let me take you back a bit because you know when you talked about the frustrated man, you told us the frustrated man story. I just thought to myself, let's take a drive. Let's just take a drive around town, you know, in Lagos.
Yes.
Because this is where we are. You see a lot of rage being displayed on the roads before you even move near to defensive, offensive driving, defensive, whatever, all manner of driving. Is it that we are an angry people or are we a frustrated people?
To use the word...
Because everybody's on edge.
Yes, to use the word we're angry people is...
and yet they say we are...
Could be very negative, you know, and it's stereotype in a way. But maybe we should use the word we're frustrated. A lot of things. Fella said that suffering and smiling.
Yes.
You know, and that smiling is a makeup. It's not really true.
You're very right.
You get it now. And
You're very right.
I think most Nigerians are hopeless. As we're discussing in this, I just sent a message on WhatsApp and I asked, do you believe in Nigeria? And that story is like someone has been raped, cheated many times, and you say, do you trust me? When there's loss of hope and promise not fulfilled. So the Nigerians are frustrated because they can't meet their need. And a healthy man in his 50s is afraid that if he's 60...
that's a general statement. Don't say Nigerians are frustrated. Let's say...
Most Nigerians are frustrated.
Most.
When you have an 8/10.
Yes, you get it now.
8 out of 10.
You just describe driving in Lagos. I'll give you a typical example.
Do I look like a frustrated man?
No, we will know when somebody hits your car.
Levels of frustration.
I like it. There's different types of frustration.
Oh yes, there are different levels.
And you know, this one happened somewhere around like a guy. I was driving, so this guy ran into me. I had this shield on my car, and the guy ran into the shield. And when he came down, he said, "No, I've hit his car." Of course, his car was dented. He was one that ran into.
Yeah, one of those people.
And you know, I do that to protect yourself, you know. And the guy said, "No, I have to pay and all of that." And I was looking at it for what? And guess what? The guy was an Uber driver, so he dropped the people in his car. And I was at the point I told him, you know, I was being gentle with him first. The way that no worry, let us do this and let me go. I'm going somewhere, and I don't mind to just say to just go and all that, because I know at the point when I saw that he was claiming that I was the wrong driver, you know, who hit his car. But I stood my ground and said, "What do you mean? Where is your car? Where is my car? Do you see that? Are you not the one that ran into this?" Then what he did at the point now said, "Egbon, that's what you use, please. You know, I've not been out since, you know, I'm just coming out for the first time and all that. Please just help me. You know, you look okay. Just give me some." Do you see that now? He's taking his frustration. So we see this frustration everywhere. People take it home and all of that. But we need then the solution based on the question you asked, that we need then now to breathe in and breathe out. And what does
so
that mean?
when we lose it,
yes, you need
have to be able to control
because it's an energy itself. And you need to sometimes calm down, or people calm you down. You know, and sometimes you need to take a back seat and look at the matter critical. And sometimes when you can't, you need to seek for help. You need to call a friend, you need to call someone, and you need to even pour out. Because the greatest problem we have in this situation is that we don't actually speak out our frustration. We keep it in. And one day, boom, there's an explosion beyond what you can handle. So we need to speak out. We need to look for someone you speak
You have to be able to rein yourself in at the right time.
Very critical.
Because I remember a few months ago, our security men got into a fight with somebody who they claim wanted to steal something and all of that. And before we knew it, they all gathered on one particular person who was busy. One of them then went and carried a huge rock and was going to slam it. I was just upstairs watching, and when it finished, I had to call the security man and said, listen, do you know that within a space of 15 minutes, you people would have gotten yourself into serious trouble?
Yeah, lifetime jail.
That rock that you picked up, if you had hit that man on the head, it may have resulted in something even worse.
You know what I do as a lifestyle in that case, if I can handle things, I try to intervene. And I'll say this, and you do that logically. You have to assess the matter.
Yes.
I've seen, like we do in Lagos now, where somebody wants to commit suicide and they will see picture. Somebody is taking picture to be doing the video. We need to learn how to intervene.
When to step in.
And because sometimes right in front of you, you could just see somebody pass on. You know, I was somewhere one day and these young men were doing their work, and suddenly, boom, there was a fight. And there was the guy, one that was driving, this happened right in front of me, like it was very early in the morning, it was still dark. And a lady ran, I heard a shout. And just beside, they were taking a walk early in the morning.